Well, good morning to all. I'm Roy Jule, Mayor of Dubuque, and I'm joined this morning by my City Council colleagues, Rick Jones and Kate Larson. We welcome you to today's event to celebrate the completion of the City of Dubuque's Jule Operations and Training Center. We're grateful for your attendance, especially our guests who have traveled from Kansas City, Ames, and elsewhere to be here today. We're very pleased to have staff joining us from the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Transit Administration, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the Iowa Department of Transportation, and the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. While they were unable to be here today, we acknowledge U.S. Senator Charles Grassley, U.S. Senator Joni Ernst, and Congressman Rod Blum, as well as their respective staffs for their continued support of federal programs that make projects like this possible. This project was funded in part through a federal State of Good Repair grant awarded to Dubuque in 2011. Former Senator Tom Harkin and former Congressman Bruce Braley were instrumental in our efforts to secure that grant. We also thank our state representatives who are busy in Des Moines trying to wrap up the current legislative session for their support at the state level. Today, we celebrate the completion of the Jule Operations and Training Center, another major investment in Dubuque's public transportation system. Anyone who visited or worked in the Jule's previous operations center at 2401 Central Avenue understands what a huge improvement this new facility is. The old site was nearly 100 years old, and after seeing tremendous changes in our transit system over those years, we could no longer adapt that space to our current needs. It more than served its purpose and will now be used for city storage. On behalf of my City Council colleagues and our community, I want to thank City Manager Mike Van Milligan and all city staff, partners, architects, contractors, and vendors involved in this project. It was completed on time and on budget, which speaks to the management and teamwork that was involved. I know we have a number of Jule employees with us today, and I'd ask you all to please stand, or if you're standing, please wave so we can see who you are. Right. Thank you for all that you do to safely transport our residents to where they need to be and for sharing your new space with us today. Thanks to continued investments, dedicated staff, strategic database route and service improvements, additional outreach, and major facility investments, travel ridership in Dubuque has grown tremendously over recent years. In fact, more than 519,000 rides were provided last year, and ridership increased 39% between 2011 and 2016. Like so many of our improvement projects in Dubuque, this great facility would not have been possible without the support of partners at the federal, state, and local levels. The city has enjoyed the support of several partners in improving our transit system, but without a doubt, the most critical have been the U.S. DOT Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, and the Iowa Department of Transportation. This Operation and Training Center is the third and final component of Dubuque's Intermodal Transportation Campus project, funded by a federal Transit State of Good Repair grant received in October of 2011. The first and second components, the intermodal terminal and the attached three-level parking facility, are located just on the other side of the overpass in our historic Millwork district. This grant has leveraged local dollars and enabled us to rebuild our entire transit system. This $6.8 million project was funded in part by $1.27 million from the FTA. We're so pleased and honored to have FTA Region 7 Administrator Mokti Ahmad with us again so we can thank him and his staff for their support of these transformative projects for our community. Mokti?
Good morning. On behalf of Elaine Chow, Secretary of the United States Department of Transportation, and Jane Williams, our acting administrator for the Federal Transit Administration. Thank you again for inviting me to be here today. In 1998, I became the regional administrator for FTA, and we decided that in 1999, or summer of 1999, that we would take a road trip. Took a staff of 5 people, got in a van, and came through Iowa. And that was the first time I saw the Key Line building in Dubuque, Iowa. And I had great admiration for the bus drivers of the system, because I knew if I had to park and drive within that building, you would have a lot of damaged buses, a lot of scrapes, and maybe even pillars being knocked down. And I looked at my staff and I said, are all the systems like this? They said, no, this is a 100-year-old or 80-year-old building at that time, and that, yeah, they needed a lot of help. And so I went back to Kansas City, didn't hear anything from City of Dubuque. You know, I thought, well, saving money, running in the same system. Then in 2011, we had the state of good repair. And that was the beginning in the change. And we saw it connected with the multimodal facility, connected with the parking, and now today here, this particular building. I want to say that along the way, the visions had changed. It went from a rehab facility here, and then it changed into this magnificent facility. I also want to say that now you will have this building for the next 100 years. So I'm glad you decided to do something wonderful with this building rather than build more dungeons that we had in that building. So a great storage space. But it took a lot of people and a lot of work and a lot of vision. And I do want to thank our federal partners who had also come together in different ways, EPA, Federal Highway, all looking at how can we leverage the investment to really benefit the area. And, with EPA, you hear, what do you mean capping? What do you mean 6 feet under? And you get all these rules, the different rules. But I want to say that the City of Dubuque, the people involved, they worked through all the rules and to make sure that the federal requirements were all being fulfilled, including the federal transit grant itself. So some of the people I would like to mention as thank you is, first of all, Candace. Thank you very much for coming on board and getting the project. She's the director of Jule and City Parking, and great vision, by the way, and you have taken the transit to a much higher level than when I first came in 1999. Then, of course, my friend, the dynamic Roy Jule from the mayor. His support staff, Michael Milligan, city manager. Great people, Terry Goodman and Corey Burbeck, assistant city managers. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, but these are the names that have come by, and I got to mention them. John Klosterman, Public Works Director. Then from the MPO, Kelly Duttmeyer and Chandra. I want to say something about Chandra. Chandra was a tiger in this one. He did not let anything go. He wanted to make sure that all the federal rules were dotted and followed. And I want to say that He did call us a lot. But we were happy that he called, especially when auditors come around. We know that everything was done, all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed in this particular case. Then the state Department of Transportation and Iowa Department of Natural Resources. This project would not have been completed without your assistance also, and thank you. The MPO, obviously, for flexing some of the funds. Again, thank you for that, too. But if you've seen the other building, you know that we needed to get a new building. And really, and I am so happy that we got this building, because I'm approaching that age, and the most I have is 3 years or 4 years left, and I want to leave a legacy in Iowa, because Iowa, I'm so grateful to Iowa. My sister and I are both graduates of Iowa State University. So my family owes a lot to Iowa State University, and I am always making sure that Iowa gets their fair share.
Well, thank you, Moti, and I just have to say that I know you gave me some of that credit, but it also goes to my council colleagues that I've worked with over the past 23 years now, going on 23 years, and they've been very visionary, and they all get a lot of credit for what's been going on here in Dubuque. Thank you. The other key partner in our public transit efforts and so many critical projects like the US 20 Southwest Arterial, our first modern roundabouts, and more, is the Iowa Department of Transportation. This project received $1.17 million in state funds through the Iowa DOT, and we're very grateful for that state support. Iowa DOT Director Mark Lowe had planned to be with us today, but he is not feeling well. However, District Engineer, Jim Schnebelin, is with us today, and he will speak on behalf of the Iowa DOT. Jim?
Good morning. As the Mayor mentioned, Director Lowe was a little on the weather today, so he asked me to speak on his behalf, and I had a full about 20 minutes of warning, so you won't see me pulling out a long speech or anything. But I'm sure Mark has the same sentiments as I do, that really the success of this project, as with many in this area, is truly due to the great partnerships and impressive use of collaboration in the area. This is just one of many, many projects we've been involved with in this area that have been very successful, mostly due, in way part due to the successful partnerships and everybody working together to those common goals. So I just want to say thank you for that opportunity to be here and to be a part of this project, and congratulations on a great facility and a great project. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jim, and your staff for your continued support of the transportation infrastructure in the Dubuque area. For those of you doing the math, you're wondering where the remaining $4.36 million came from for this project. The city contributed $1.51 million as a required local match to leverage the grant funds, and the remaining $2.8 million came from the Dubuque Metropolitan Area Transportation Study, a tri-state metro area planning organization, also known as DMATS. DMATS is governed by a board consisting mainly of local elected officials, but the real work of DMATS is accomplished by East Central Intergovernmental Association staff, namely ECIA Executive Director Kelly Detmeyer and ECIA Director of Transportation Chandra Ravada. They both played key roles in this project, for which we are very grateful. Kelly, I'd invite you up for a few comments.
Well, good morning. I'm Kelly Detmeyer, Executive Director with ECIA, and it's my pleasure to be here today. We are the transportation planning entity for the area, known as DMATS. Nobody really knows what we are, who we are, because we're always behind the scene, but our role is really to plan for and improve the transportation network in the region. So the Jule bus storage facility fits into that transportation network. This project was really initiated back in 2010 when we first took over management of the Jule. We managed the system from about 2010 to 2015. One of the things we noticed right away was that it needed a bus storage facility. As Makti said, it definitely, the roof leaked, it was difficult to get the buses around, and the dispatch area was really small and cramped. And so at the time, it was really just a dream. We really thought, could this be a reality? And so we decided to start applying for grants, and it was our long-range goal to make sure we got one of those grants to make this happen. So back in 2011, through the State of Good Repair, the Federal Transit Administration awarded the grant to construct the intermodal facility. And the Jule bus storage facility, as I call it, or really, you're calling it the operations center. It sounds so much better. We called it the bus storage facility back in the day, so we'll call it the operations center because it does sound so much better. It was part of that overall comprehensive plan. And so at that time then, it really became a reality. So that dream moved into reality. The bus storage facility, as mentioned, was funded through all different partners, DMATS, the Federal Transit Administration, the Iowa DOT, and the City of Dubuque. And this is the first time in the history of DMATS, and DMATS goes back to 1969, that we've ever funded a transit project providing over 40% of the cost of this operations facility. So $2.8 million into transit really shows that our board values the transit system as part of our transportation network. Additionally, the facility was that second piece of the intermodal facility, and I call the third piece the parking. And so it was part of that strategy and really is in the urban core of Dubuque and enhances the entire Dubuque urban core. And it also, as this facility was, that was here, was old and obviously outdated, it redeveloped a superfund site that was a brownfield and really was a site in Dubuque that needed to be converted. So this $6.8 million facility exemplifies the reuse of a derelict building site and enhances Dubuque immensely. I want to thank the ECIA and city staff that were involved in the vision of this project from its inception, including Chanda Ravada, our transportation director, and Marla Quinn, our grants and development coordinator, and Terry Goodman. Terry Goodman is assistant city manager who worked with us closely on this, especially the grants. And Cindy Steinhauser was the assistant city manager at the time. She worked really closely on it, on the grant as well. And then, of course, all of our partners. And then especially I want to thank Candace Udaley Lobach and Jody Johnson. They were part of the ECIA team at one time, and as they left, they moved this dream forward to the reality of what it is today. And it's actually much more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. So thank you for doing that. It really does make me smile. When I walked in, I just gasped. It's just so beautiful. So it's my honor to be here today, and I'm very proud of the work that ECIA and DMATS did on this project and being part of this vital project for the City of Dubuque and for the Jule transit system. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Kelly and Chandra. Anyone unfamiliar with the history of this property might wonder what role the Environmental Protection Agency has in a public transit facility. Let's say they have been foundational. As you know, I guess that was a joke. I don't know. As you know, adaptive reuse is a frequent goal of projects here in Dubuque. In support of our commitment to sustainable development, and has been key to our riverfront and downtown revitalization. We're proud that this location reutilizes an existing city-owned property, which previously was the location of the city's public works garage. This property is also a US EPA Superfund site, designated by the EPA as the People's Natural Gas Site. You may have noticed the wall displayed in the building entrance that details the steps taken to mitigate the contamination issues on this site. We have a duplicate display board here in the room as well. We're grateful to have US EPA Region 7 Administrator and Iowa native Jim Gulliford with us today to reflect on the EPA's partnership with the City of Dubuque to utilize this property. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, and it's great to be here, and I want your joke writer to help me with some of my scripts here. This is good. No, we're delighted to be here today. A number of my staff are here, and I hope you get a chance to meet some of them. But one of our main goals at the Environmental Protection Agency, one of our principal pieces of statute is, again, to deal with Superfund sites. And our goal is not just to clean them up, but to see them restored to very productive uses such as this. And it just seems like we keep coming back to the community of Dubuque because you guys do such a great job in all of these areas with brownfields programs, with Superfund programs, and not only just cleaning up sites, as I said, but restoring them to very productive uses. So I'm here really for two reasons. One, to congratulate you again on a project completed, a project well done, but also then to present an award, what we call our Leading Environmentalism and Forwarding Sustainability Award, or a LEAFS Award to the city for, again, looking beyond just a simple cleanup and finding a productive and an important use here in the city for what, again, as the mayor said, we called our People's Natural Gas Superfund site. Not a very attractive name. I think we've done well to work on the title for, again, this facility. EPA Region 7 established the LEAFS Award to recognize those who've supported Superfund redevelopment initiative through innovative thinking, sustainable practices, and environmental stewardship. This is a charge that EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt has given to me, is to look for these types of opportunities, to celebrate them, promote them, and hasten them, to move them along so that we can do more of this type of work. City of Dubuque, once again, is showing other cities what is possible to achieve with a commitment to these types of values. And the path to get to where we are today was a long one, but it would not have been possible without a lot of sustained effort on the part of the local community and the cooperation of all of the organizations, again, to take what we call the natural gas site and make it a Jule operation and training center. So it's been quite an accomplishment. The city persevered over a matter of nearly 10 years, but throughout that time, you worked closely, as Makti indicated, to cross all those I's and dot all those T's or something like that, right? My I's are crossed for you here on that. Because we do have a lot of standards that are very important standards, and we'll speak to them in a minute. But again, going through this process, you worked in compliance with all of the property restrictions, were protective of the workers who worked on this site, provided protection for all of the employees that are now using this property in this building. Project was in compliance with all of our Superfund standard and regulations. And again, the redevelopment process, in other words, what we built this site into, did not impede the ongoing cleanup. It did not compromise the cleanup of the Superfund site. All of those things were very important to us. Like any large projects, it takes a lot of people to make them work, and I'm not going to go through. I've got a list of some of those. You've already heard the partners that have been important to this work, and it's great, though, when people can come together and make a contribution rather than create a barrier to the type of thing that you want to do. But I do want to mention several of the innovative features of this project that are worth noting. These are the features that increase the protection, cause the protection of the construction workers and the future workers here at this site, and resulted in minimal disturbance of contaminants that are still present in underground in some places. The building was constructed with very limited excavation. That was one of our first keys. It used the foundation of the previous property, so it saved costs and unnecessary exposure to, again, some of the contaminants below the surface. As Makti indicated, the grade was raised several feet to increase the distance between the subsurface contamination and the building itself and the workers in the building. The floor of the entire building is one piece and includes a vapor barrier to prevent vapor intrusion. Again, protects the people that work here. And new subsurface utility lines were specially constructed to prevent contact with contaminants and minimize necessity for repairs. So, on behalf of EPA Region 7, I'm proud to present the LEAFS Award to Mayor Jule and the City of Dubuque. And from our perspective, the JOTC property truly demonstrates how visionary local leadership, commitment to restoring sites to productive use, and cooperation amongst federal, state, and local agencies and communities can lead to outcomes that promote environmental revitalization and sustainability. Congratulations, Mayor.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Peterson. I'm the Superfund Director at EPA Region 7. And really, right now, I'm just going to present the awards. First of all, to Mayor Jule. And Jim, I think if you and Mokti would join the mayor. Mayor, thank you so much. Congratulations. I'm going to continue with the distribution of awards to individuals that were involved in the project. First of all, it comes as no surprise, I think you've heard her name several times now, Candace Udaley-Lobach. Great. Steve Sampson Brown with the City of Dubuque. Chandra Ravada, ECIA. Jennifer Coughlin, Mid-American Energy Company. Jennifer McIver, also with Mid-American Energy Company. Okay, I'll just hand this. Kevin Armstrong with GHD. Brad Azeltine with the Iowa Department of Transportation. Dan Cook, also with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. We also have certificates of appreciation for Emily Smart, formerly with HR Green. And lastly, Scott Mattis, also formerly with HR Green. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Administrator Gulliford and Mary and your staff, especially Diana Engelman with the Region 7 Superfund Division for your partnership on the project and your support of our past, present, and future efforts elsewhere in the community to transform brownfields into our vital neighborhoods. Next, we will hear from, at the state level, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources has been a key partner in this effort as well. And we're grateful to have Iowa DNR Director Chuck Gipp with us today. Director Gipp, would you like to say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mary Buell, and for everybody gathered here today. While I am the director of the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, like in any agency, the actual work gets done at a much lower level than the director's office. So with us today is our Deputy Director, Bruce Troutman, Executive Officer, Karen Feinhardt, Mel Pins over here from our contaminated brownfield section, as well as Dan Cook, who've already been introduced. These are the people that make this happen, that work with the leaders in your local communities, along with our partners in EPA. I'm going to take a little bit different tack today. We were just at a site up at John Deere that had been contaminated brownfield site, as well as a site we were on. And we at the EPA and the DNR, while sometimes we get accused of being the over-regulatory agencies, you've probably ever heard that before, we are actually in the business of cost avoidance. It's been over 30 years, I believe, until just recently that there's been a brownfield contaminated superfund site declared here in the city of in the state of Iowa, and we think that's a huge accomplishment because once you have this contaminated superfund sites, it's incredibly expensive to clean it up. I've served several terms in the Iowa legislature with Rick Dickinson, and Rick and I can tell you that we appropriated millions and millions of dollars in some cases for cleaning up mistakes that were made by contaminated incidents that took place to bring us back to the place where we can put this in economic use. So our partners through the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, and the EPA and the Department of Natural Resources are in the business of avoiding those types of expenses. If we can educate people about not making mistakes, we can avoid the very numbers that you heard today about getting this property back to where it is. So we're in the cost avoidance. So when you hear that talked about regulatory environment and things like that, please know that it's our job to work with people to let them know what they shouldn't do to avoid the type of expense we have today. Today, though, we are here to celebrate a great accomplishment and that we as agencies can help with. It's a lot like you can't push a rope. You can only do something. You have great partners at the local level and people, community leaders that want to make it happen. So I'm very thankful to be a part of this today and be in leadership of the Iowa Department of Natural Resources and also partnership with EPA and our other partners out there. But I really want to thank the innovation, the leadership of local leaders who actually make it happen on the ground. So from the Iowa Department of Natural Resource perspective, thank you so much for everybody that had a part in putting this facility together and this plan together to convert this back into usable use here in this city of Dubuque. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. Next, we will hear from City of Dubuque Transportation Services Director Candace Udaley Lobach, who oversees our transit and parking services and was a member of the project management team. Candace is going to explain the design process and functionality of this facility. Candace?
All right. So we've heard from our funding partners, and they got us the first step of the way from making this project a reality. And getting each piece of funding in place was the biggest hurdle, definitely the first one. Kelly, Jody Johnson, our operations supervisor, and I all had a really big vision for what this place could be. And with each grant that we got, that got us closer to the reality of the project. We wanted a space that would help our employees start their day on a good note and provide a flow of people and vehicle traffic that made coming to work a little less like coming to work. Our drivers and ops staff work one-on-one with the public, either out on the road with passengers or in the office taking hundreds of phone calls a day and responding to drivers on the two-way radio. It's busy, it gets loud, and they are amazing at what they do. We wanted to be able to conduct trainings on site for our whole team, which is almost 70 people, as well as have the ability for our drivers to practice on site before heading out on the road. You're sitting in our new training space, and just outside to the north is our driving training area. We wanted our employees to be involved in the planning process. We took the initial plans to our drivers and dispatchers for input through a large group meeting, which we had to do off-site because we didn't have space. We had plans available in their break room so they could leave comments. They actually got to vote on different things, components of the project. And we had a small group meeting with our dispatch staff to plan their office and their furniture layouts. And then we finalized the details. Once the building was up and running, we invited our employees to name some of the conference rooms and other spaces. You'll see that our dispatch office is named Ground Control, which usually makes people smile when they walk in, and then sing the song the rest of the day. To get all of this accomplished, we had help from CUNY Architects and Steve Brown with the city's engineering department. Steve was essential in helping us learn from other city departments' facilities he's worked on to make this building work for our current needs and the future needs that we'll have, since we're probably not going to get another building for 100 years. Having that knowledge and experience from other city projects was invaluable for our project. We really achieved everything we sought out to do, and we're beyond grateful for the support of City Council, city staff who stepped in at all points in the project for signage, for planning spaces, for helping with furniture design, for everything that they did. And of course, we're thankful for our funding partners who are here today. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace, and congratulations to you and your staff. We're proud today to be members of the Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce, we are joined today by members of the Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce ambassadors. And before we move to the vehicle storage area for the actual ribbon cutting, we'll hear from Chamber President and CEO Molly Grover.
And the City of Dubuque is a member of the Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce as well. There's about 13,000 chambers of commerce worldwide, about 7,000 chambers of commerce in the United States, and our community is our product, and there is no finer product in all the land than the community of Dubuque. And let's everyone give our community a round of applause for all the amazing things we do here. Ribbon cuttings, we do over 100 ribbon cuttings a year on an annual basis. This is the good stuff. We love ribbon cuttings. They're celebrations, it's recognition, it is accomplishment of a goal, but it also signifies something new, a next chapter, and that is why we're here today as well. We are thrilled to offer our congratulations, our recognition, our thanks on behalf of our 1,177 members, our chair, Tom Wagner, our chamber ambassadors, our red coats that are here today. We celebrate with you today, and we are so grateful to have partnerships that exist in this community that make good things happen each and every day. You know, this new facility, the Jule, is really the new quality of life Jule, Jewel, for our community. We do have a presentation for the mayor. Maddie Jantz, the co-chair of the Dubuque Chamber Ambassadors, has something that she'd like to present the mayor. Maddie?
On behalf of the ambassadors, we're honored to be here today celebrating your success and the investment that you've made to our economy and our business community. Congratulations.
Okay, well, I want to thank all of you for being here today, and I now invite everyone representing our project partners, Jule staff, city staff, involved in the project, and others to join my city council colleagues and me in the vehicle storage area for the ribbon cutting. And following that, please enjoy some refreshments and take a tour of your new facility. Thank you very much.